Hi, welcome to Lana's Videos. My name is Alba, and in this tutorial I will show you how to make the second part of the Wayuu bag. In this second part I will show you how to make the tapestry pattern with the change of the colors. Let's go with the step by step. On the first video we told you how to make the base of the Wayuu bag, and in this second part we will show you how to make the top part of the bag with a chart. We need 4 colors: the blue, the dark brown, the beige and the white. We start from the right to the left, and we only have to count how many stitches of each color we have to make. For example, on the first row we have to make 8 stitches with the blue color, 1 stitch with the brown and 9 stitches again with the blue, and repeat the same 7 times. Once we finish the first row, we start the second row. On the second row we have to make 7 stitches with the blue color, 3 in brown and 8 in blue. Row number 1, chain 1, and we have to make 8 stitches with the blue. We also take the back loops on this part, so make 8 single crochet taking the back loops with the blue. And once we are at the last stitch, before one change of the color, we have to finish the last stitch with the next color. So we finish the stitch number 8 with the brown color. And we don't cut the yarn. We leave the yarn. And don't cut the previous color. We don't cut the blue color. We have to make now 1 stitch with the brown color, but remember, if we have a change of the color after the stitch, we have to close the stitch with the next color. So we have to close the brown stitch with the blue color. The stitch number 9, we close the stitch with the blue color. We have to leave the yarn that we are not using inside the stitch, in the stitch. Once we made the stitch number 9, closing the stitch with the blue color, we have to make 9 stitches with the blue color. Remember, leaving the yarn that we are not using in the stitch, we involve the yarn that we are not using with the color of the stitch, so make 9 stitches with the blue color. Remember, taking the back loops, we have to continue making the 9 stitches with the blue color. We finished the 9 stitches, we finished 1 repetition, so we have to make 6 more repetitions of the 18 stitches of the pattern. So we start again with 8 stitches with the blue color, 1 in brown and 9 again with blue. In this sample I am repeating only 4 times. So 8 in blue, remember involving the yarn that we are not using and taking the back loops. Once we are at the stitch number 8, remember we have to close the stitch number 8 with the next color, that is the brown. We close the stitch number 8 with the next color. So take the brown color and we finish the stitch with the brown. We have to make one stitch with brown that we have to close with the blue. We take the blue yarn again and we close this stitch and continue making 9 more stitches with the blue color. Remember taking the back loops involving the yarn that we are not using. Once we finish the 7 repetitions of the pattern, we have to close the row with a slip stitch. Row number 2, we are going to repeat 7 times, 7 blue, 3 brown and 8 blue. So we start with chain 1, 7 stitches with the blue color, remember taking the back loops and leaving the color that we are not using in the stitch. Remember, once we are before a change of the colors of the color, we have to close the stitch with the next color. In this case we are on the stitch number 7 and we have to close the stitch number 7 with the brown color. We continue making 3 stitches with the brown color. And once we have the 3rd stitch, we have to close the 3rd stitch with the blue color, that is the next color that we are using. Take the blue yarn, close the stitch. Here you can see the 3 brown stitches on the brown stitch of the previous row. The difference between this technique, this Wayuu technique with the tapestry, is that taking the back loop, you get the stitch on the center of the stitch of the previous row and you get a straight pattern. With the normal tapestry way, the pattern goes to one side. Now we are going to continue with 8 stitches with the blue color. Once we finish the 8 blue color, we have to repeat again the pattern. 7 in blue. Remember taking the back loop involving the yarn that we are not using. And once we are at the stitch number 7, remember it's before of the change of the color, we have to close the stitch with the next color, that is the brown color. We take the brown color, close the stitch, we make 3 stitches with the brown color. And we close the 3rd stitch with the blue color. We close the 3rd stitch with the blue color and we finish this repetition with 8 stitches with blue. We finished the second row, and now in this third row we are going to add a new color, the beige. We are going to make 6 blue, 2 brown, 1 beige, 2 brown and 7 blue. Remember that you can find this chart in our website. So we start with 6 blue, and once we are at the stitch number 6, remember we have to close the stitch with the next color, in this case the brown color. We close the stitch with the brown, we make 2 stitches with the brown, we close the second stitch with brown, with beige. We take the beige yarn and close the stitch with the beige. We make 1 stitch with beige, and we close the beige stitch with the brown color. Two more stitches with the brown color, and we close the second stitch of the brown color with blue. Remember, always involving the yarn that we are not using in the stitch and taking the back loops. And we finish this repetition with 7 stitches with blue. Remember, taking the back loops and always involving the yarn that we are not using. 7 stitches in blue. Here you can see the pattern that we get following the chart. Remember, once we finish 1 repetition, we have to repeat the same. 6 blue, 2 brown, 1 beige, 2 brown and 7 blue. 6 blue, we close the stitch number 6 with the brown, two in brown, we close the stitch, the second stitch in brown with the beige, one in beige, we close the stitch in beige with brown, two in brown, we close the second stitch in brown with blue, and remember we have to repeat this pattern 7 times. Row number 4, we have to make 5 blue, 2 brown, 3 beige, 2 brown and 6 blue. It's really easy, you only have to count how many stitches we have to make with each color. Once we have to change the color, we have to close the stitch with the next color. So chain 1. Remember always taking the back loops and involving the yarn that we are not using. We start with 5 blue. And we close the stitch number 5 with a brown color. Two in brown. And we close the second stitch in brown with the beige. Three with beige. And we close the third stitch of beige with brown again. Two with brown. And we close the second stitch with brown with blue. As I told you before, taking only the back loops, you get one stitch just on the stitch of the previous row, and you get a straight pattern. And repeat the same sequence to the end. 5 blue, 2 brown, 3 beige, 2 brown and 6 blue. Once we finish the row number 4, here you can see the inside and the outside part of the back. And on the row number 5, now we are using all the 4 colors. We add the white color here. 4 blue, 2 brown, 2 beige, 1 white, 2 beige, 2 brown and 5 blue. Remember one more time how to make the change of the color, and you will only have to follow the pattern. 4 blue, we close the stitch number 4 with the brown yarn. Two brown, we close the second stitch of brown with beige. Two beige, we close the second stitch of beige with white. We make the stitch in white color and we close it with beige. 2 with beige, and we close the second in beige with brown. Remember taking the back loops and involving the yarn that we are not using. 2 brown, we close the second stitch in blue, and 5 in blue. And this is the sequence of the row number 5. You have to continue following the pattern to 5 rows before the end, where I will show you how to make the holes to pass the cord. We are in this row where we have to make 5 blue, 2 brown, 3 beige, 2 brown and 6 blue. As I explained before, the difference between the Wayuu style and the tapestry style is that taking the back loop you get a straight pattern. Once we are on the stitch number 15, we have to make now the hole. We are going to leave 4 stitches on the bottom part, so we have to make 4 chains. But we have to involve the yarn that we are not using, so we have to make like single crochet but involving the yarn. We have to make 4 single crochet involving the yarn. We skip 4 stitches on the bottom part and we make the next single crochet, remember taking the back loop, on the stitch number 5. And we continue making the pattern to 3 stitches after the brown. And we repeat the same with the hole. We have to make 4 single crochet involving the yarn. Skipping 4 stitches on the bottom part, we have to make the next single crochet on the stitch number 5. With the last repetition, we stop 2 stitches after the brown. We make also the 4 single crochet involving the yarn. And we make a slip stitch with the first chain of this row. And here you can see all the holes that we have to place later the cord. And we have to complete now all the rows that we have to finish this back. In this row we have to make 6 blue, 2 brown, 1 beige, 2 brown and 7 blue. We are going to continue to this part. Once we are at the hole we have to make the same. We only have to make a single crochet, taking the back loop of the single crochet of the previous row, remember involving the yarn that we are not using. We had 4 stitches, so we have to make also 4 stitches. And once we finish all the rows, here you can see the back finished. Here you can see the holes that we made before. On the next, I will show you how to make the cord and how to make the suspender. Here you can see the inside part of the back, that using this technique you don't have knots resulting of the yarn or the change of the color. And following this technique you can use the chart that you prefer. You only have to pay attention changing the colors, and it has to look like that, making the 126 stitches on each row and following the chart. Well, that's all. I hope you like it. Remember to give a like, share and subscribe to receive our new videos.